Oh, hey everyone. I finally get around to doing another full-length podcast. I've done my little mini discussions, but now that I've finally fully watched TCW Season 7, I'm ready to do a discussion with it. And with me, I've got two guests. Introduce yourselves.
Alright, my name is Lance. I'm 16 and I'm a new EU fan. This is my first podcast and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Hey, I'm Aiden, also known as Betacrape. You knew me from the older podcasts.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys on. Kyle was gonna join us, but uh, for those of you who are watching this, but he got busy with errands, so. And I really wanted to do this. So yeah. In January, I finally got around to watching TCW Season 7, because I was able to get my love for Star Wars back. After, because it's been out for about a year, right? Because I remember springtime Season 7 came out. So anyway. First, before we get into the meat of the things, let's go over kind of our general history with the show, how we were introduced to it, and our overall thoughts and opinions on it. I guess I'll go first. So I came out at the right age where I grew up with both the micro series and TCW. In fact, the TCW movie came out. It was kind of like a time period in between. It was over the summer in between 5th and 6th grade that the movie came out. In 6th grade in the fall when the series debuted, and that was kind of like my thing that me and my sister would always watch together, like in the middle school and into early high school. Let's see what else. And I actually I was into the multimedia project first. So I did, when I was watching the show growing up, I did notice a few of the retcons. But overall, I did like the show. And I do have a lot of nostalgia for it. And at some point, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the entire series. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.
Alright, I'll go next. I like the show. Well, my history with it is I'm 16, so I kind of grew up with it. So it's my Clone Wars. So, but becoming an EU fan recently, I have kind of grown a distaste for it, but I still like it. I don't like it as much as I used to.
It was the same for me as time went by. I still like it, even though I think the multimedia project was superior.
Well, I haven't
Anything?
read any of the multimedia project stuff, so I can't really say that.
Yeah.
But I will not consider it part of it. To me, it's part of the new canon. It's not technically it is EU, but no one considers that. It doesn't fit in the EU. It doesn't fit anywhere.
Yeah,
So it is.
until Lucasfilm officially says it's not, I basically just consider it to be like S canon or Comp Nor. I also bring in the Comp Nor retcon, and I also create a bunch of clever retcons to try and fit it. But honestly, it should just be new canon. Oh. Anything else, Lance?
No, I think. Well, my overall opinion is I think it's good. There's a lot of stupid stuff in there. Um, and if you're looking at it in the context of the EU, it is terrible. But if you're looking at it in context of the new canon, then yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, because the new canon, like TCW, is kind of like the bedrock for a lot of stuff in the new canon. Like, if you were to take TCW out of the new canon, it would cause lot of problems. Like, almost as many problems as you would, or as it being in the EU. What about you, Aiden?
So I remember TCW was around when I was like in preschool, and I remember looking at the art style and saying, "Oh, it kind of looks weird," but it's art. And I remember liking what I enjoyed of watching so far. And over the years, I continually watched the show. I didn't really binge it because my mom didn't really let me watch Cartoon Network because there's Adult Swim and things. But
Yeah, that's true.
over time, yeah, I just watched the episodes continually. I enjoyed it because and then years later, when I in like 2016, 17, when I got really into the fandom, uh, I still liked it, but I kind of grew to despise just because I felt that fandom was really, really holding it up to this high tier, which
Yeah, a
really
lot of
it's
people
just
think it's the best thing to come out of Star Wars besides the movies, which I mean is a valid opinion, but as someone who's read stuff like the Bane trilogy, at least the first two books, and play games like KOTOR, like I hold those up to an even higher standard.
yeah. Do you know Stars Only?
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, yeah. He was one of these who said like, "Oh, Clone Wars was such a great pinnacle of Star." Like, it's not
He,
really, but
and he was
and
also one of the same guys that was spreading, the EU was never canon lie, despite
yeah,
him, you know, being disproven multiple times.
yeah, and then like 2 years later in 2019, I watched Tad Larkin's videos, and then my opinion kind of changed, and I was like, I kind of, was kind of like, oh wow, some of these criticisms that I had about the show that are stuck in the back of my head, like wow,
Yeah.
I'm not alone. The the substance just does suck.
He did open
Like
my
war
eyes to
strategies.
how much damage it did to the EU continuity. Like I already knew, like I said, I already knew about the retcons because I read the comics, but to the degree that it was, I was just like, wow.
Yeah. Now, do I hate TCW? Not really. I still have a lot of nostalgia for the show.
Same
I
here.
knew it since I was like 4, 5, 6. I watched it when I remember watching the Mandalorian arcs in the show in 2010, 12. It's even if I like even if I wanted to, it would still be part of my childhood.
Yeah. Sorry, my grandma's cat is meowing in the background. Oh, so anyway. Yeah, like, and you also have to give it credit. Like, you know, it kept Star Wars. It was one of the many things that kept Star Wars alive in between, 2005 and 2012. And like, there's so many articles that claim that, like, oh yeah, Disney saved the Star Wars franchise. It was dead after 2005. And it's like TCW like disproves that.
I remember kids at my school, they used to always get Star Wars Legos.
Yeah, like it wasn't
I
dead.
used, yeah, my dad used to always buy me Star Wars Legos. Like in 2010, he bought me a bunch for my birthday.
Yeah, and I still bought Star Wars Legos then because I just love those. Man, probably about a year ago, I was rewatching season one, and like I'm kind of getting into like the animation, like look how the animation has evolved in like a decade.
Yeah,
Like, it
and
definitely has gotten better.
Yeah, I think season 7 animation is gorgeous
It
in my
is top
opinion. It
notch for like television CGI.
also, you guys want to hear a fun fact?
Oh, what is it?
So, you ever wondered why like uh the character models in Clone Wars were kind of looked a bit blocky?
Oh, was it because they were? I kind of
They,
have an idea,
they,
but what was it?
they were trying to like 3D animationize Samurai Jack's art style, but
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah,
really work.
that was what I
And
was guessing.
And the same thing for Rebels, but instead of Samurai Jacks, they tried to 3D eyes Ralph McQuarrie's original artwork for the Star Wars trilogies, but didn't really work there
Yeah, I remember because I
as
did watch
well.
Star Wars Rebels and I followed it, and on the Star Wars YouTube channel they would talk about kind of like the behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah, and listen
and
to
they would
Clever
talk
Rebels
about
Reborn.
their Ralph McQuarrie inspirations.
Yeah.
Did y'all know that Zeb from Rebels came straight from the EU, or his species?
Yeah, he was like a
So,
very obscure species or something like that.
yeah, a lot of people say, oh, well, Rebels, look how much they took from Ralph McQuarrie's concept art. No, they didn't. They took from the EU that took from Ralph McQuarrie's concept art.
Yeah.
So, people are so stupid. They're not stupid, they're ignorant. And,
There's a ton of ignorance in the fandom, unfortunately.
and people think the new canon is doing this great stuff that has never been done before. Yeah, it has.
Exactly.
It's all been done before, 10, 12 years ago. Anyway.
So yeah, I think maybe we should get into the Bad Batch.
Alright, so I thought that was a pretty good arc.
Yeah,
I had a
same
lot of fun
here.
with it.
Like,
It was clone centered fun, you know.
because the best, I think, and a lot of people would agree with me, the best things in TCW was like the clones.
Oh yeah, for sure. All the clone stuff is great.
One of my favorite episodes is in season one was the one where they're on the Rishi Moon, and
Rookies, I
yeah,
love
rookies
those.
and this small squad, has to survive and face on a huge battalion. Like that's great stuff. That's always been the most memorable thing. But so basically, the Bad Batch is there's a battle on the planet Anaxes, and they're trying to capture a production facility, but they're suffering massive losses. And they figure out that the separatists are using analytics to predict their strategy. So, and that's why they're suffering a lot of losses. You know, I remember back when TCW was canceled, they did show like animatics, like unfinished animation about the Bad Batch, and I was thinking, wow, that would have been cool to
Yeah.
do. And I remember there's people online, petitioning for all that stuff to be re-released, or I mean released officially and finished, and they got their wish. And
Yeah, there's still some finished animatics that actually haven't been made into episodes.
yeah, there was like Dark Disciple, which got adapted into that book.
Yeah, I believe there was like one arc where Obi-Wan and Anakin tried to go to Utapau to find like a big hyper crystal.
Yeah, there was a kyber crystal that was
There's
it was gonna be later used in the Death Star or something like that.
Yeah, there's like a Boba Fett arc where he explains how he got his hole in his head
Oh, and
or
doesn't
dent.
and doesn't he
Huh?
like defeat some bounty hunter? Isn't it like Cad Bane?
Yeah, yeah, it was Cad
Like
Bane.
he kills Cad Bane.
Shit, that brings back nostalgia.
Oh
That
yeah,
name.
Cad. Like I just want to get into a little tangent, but I remember when they first introduced, or
Queen
the first.
2008.
I remember on Cartoon Network they said Bane is coming, but at first I had no idea it was TCW, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what kind of show is this? I was like, that looks edgy. But then when they revealed it was for TCW, I was like, oh. So anyway. Ah, my throat. So anyway, they figure out there's something going on, and they're using these tactics. and I think yeah, it was Rex who or someone who had a hunch that it wasn't Echo, right? The Echo might be alive.
Yeah, it was Echo.
Yeah. And so to do this mission, they call in the Bad Batch. That's like they're kind of like a hodgepodge of like these kind of like they're very different from the standard clone trooper. And I was under the impression that some of these clones were not like of the Django line. They seem like they were cloned from another person.
No, those are Jango Fett clones. They were genetically modified, though. That's why they
Yeah,
look different.
yeah, because you know in the expanded universe, they did introduce other clone lines that were not from Django, but they kind of gave me that vibe. But oh yeah, I'm reading and it says that they were defective born clones, and they chose like the desirable mutations. And we have Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Tech. Which one did
Mm-hmm.
you like the most?
Honestly, I liked Tech the most. I thought he was the most interesting,
Yeah,
which is
he had like this
weird,
really
but
nerdy vibe that I really liked.
yeah, I thought that was really cool because you know, I'm nerdy, I'm sure
Same.
y'all are too, and it kind of breaks the stereotype that they don't really help or whatever or something like that. Like nobody likes the nerdy, It kind of broke that stereotype,
It really
and
did.
they introduced a nerdy character that really did some awesome stuff. In my opinion, it was awesome.
I agree.
See, because Star Wars, I mean, they always think, or the writers a lot of times think, oh, we have to add all these action to make good characters. No, you don't. You know,
Exactly.
you don't need action to, or give a character all they do is action to make them good. And
hmm
you can do simple stuff like, nerdy technology type things.
Hacking, computers.
Yeah, I think that's a lot more interesting than seeing a bunch of explosions on screen.
Yeah.
Sadly.
And they eventually discover that the signal came from the what planet was it? The planet Skako, where the Skakoans of the Techno Union were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they discover that Echo's alive. And it's been a while since, I've seen the previous episodes of TCW. Like, was it in the Pong Krell arc that they thought Echo was dead?
No, he was killed in the Citadel arc,
Oh, what arc
and
was
they
that?
just
What season?
I think it was like 4.
3.
I don't remember,
That sounds
or
about right.
3.
And they discover him hooked up, and they're using, all his knowledge and the tactics to, defeat the Republic army. And he's all has all like this cybernetic stuff attached to him, and he's kind of like in like this cryostasis type thing. And
Man, when that episode first debuted, when they showed him and all that, the machinery, whatever, it's kind of scared me. It spooked me a little bit
yeah, it's a little
because it
unsettling. It
looked it,
it
it
reminds
looked
me
painful.
of the Borg from Star Trek. And I remember, you know, when I was younger and watching Star Trek around the same time TCW came out, like the Borg were scary. So it gave me that vibe.
It reminds me. Have y'all seen the Saw movies, the horror films?
Oh, I know of them, but I've never seen them. Ugh.
Well, it reminds me of something from that. Yeah, I don't know why it just did.
Oh, was there something specific?
Well, if you don't, you know what those movies are about, right? You had this deranged dude putting people in these,
Yeah,
machines.
situations where they have to go through it, and
Yeah, I
if
don't.
they
It
like get
just
out of it, might become a better person or something like that.
yeah, or dead.
Yeah.
But I thought it just like the machine that he was in reminded me of something from that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
I thought that was cool.
look that up. But that makes it even more scarier if you think about it.
It was scary. But those are good movies though. I really think those are good. They're scary though. But they're good.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed about Skako Minor, I mean, this could be Dave Filoni kind of ignoring things, but like it was the atmosphere was supposed to be full of stuff that the Skakoans could breathe, and there's supposed to be a lot of pressure, and that's why the Skakoans wore those pressure suits outside their homeworld. I mean, that's something really minor, but I mean it's TCW.
No, they were. I think they were on Skako Minor, which was like
Yes,
a
Skako Minor,
moon
not
or
the actual
something.
planet itself.
Which even if it was the planet again, if he changed it, that in that point I wouldn't mind because it doesn't take place within the EU.
That's true.
That I didn't mind.
So it doesn't really matter looking back at it.
Yeah, once we get to Siege of Mandalore, didn't he contradicted the Clone Wars from 2003. I'm pretty sure he did.
Probably.
Because I think before the Battle of Coruscant, they were on what planet were they on? They were on that other planet with like the those creatures that were all disfigured or whatever. I don't remember what they were called, but
Hmm.
from 2003. But it was different. It was different.
Yeah, and during the scene where Anakin was talking to Padme, did she already kind of look a little bit pregnant to you?
Yeah, she was slightly pregnant, I guess.
Yeah, because she did put her hand on her stomach.
Now with that scene, if you've seen the original, that replaced the Padme nose art scene, and
Oh,
the
really?
amount of outrage I saw from people was hilarious.
I remember that.
They replaced so they took a scene that was sexualizing someone and replaced it with a much more impactful scene. You
Wasn't
know,
she on like one of those clone gunships?
yeah, it was obviously sexual,
Yeah,
right?
it was supposed to be a reference to like, because like a World War. Imagine like a World War II like airplane, and they put like some pinup girl on the side of it. That's what it kind of
Yeah,
reminded me of.
I mean that original nose art scene was funny. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, really, is that Star Wars? I mean, why are we sexualizing? And it's an animated show. I mean,
Yeah, that's for
I don't
kids.
know.
Why do we need that?
And they replaced it with a much more impactful scene between Anakin and Padme,
Yeah,
and I think that was probably the best scene out of that first episode.
it was really good. I mean, I get wanting to like make World War II type references because I remember Ryan Johnson did that with the bomber. He tried to do that with the bomber scene at the
Mm-hmm.
start of the Last Jedi, but that made a lot more sense to do that there than like some and like why Padme of all characters. Like if they had done that with like some random Twi'lek, that would have made a lot more sense. Not like Padme of all people.
Well, everyone, when that happened, they shouted feminism. Fandom Menace. I'm sure y'all seen those videos.
Yeah,
They shouted feminism. Like, it's not feminism. It's smart storytelling.
exactly.
They replaced it with a much better scene, in my opinion. So
Yeah. But I just love how, like Anakin and Obi-Wan, they look like they're Revenge of the Sith version. Like, Anakin's rocking that super long hair. Obi-Wan's more wearing the robe he wore in Revenge of the Sith. Like, I love it. We're so close to Revenge of the Sith.
and he had gray sideburns.
Yeah.
So he's
The
getting
war
older.
has aged him.
Yeah, I thought they looked great. I really did.
Like I remember in 2018 when they first released the trailer, because I was just so excited to see them that way, and I remember for months and even a year after that, I was just like, when is this gonna come out? I was just waiting and waiting and waiting. Let's see.
Yeah, everybody was going nuts when that trailer released. I remember that.
Yeah, and that was also around the time where I started my YouTube channel too, because I started in June, so there was a lot of big Star Wars news around that time. Like when like a few days after I started my channel, they announced Fallen Order, and I remember I was like still looking for a job. Like it was the day I was going for an interview that came out. Man, memories.
Those really good old days.
Although,
Actually, it really wasn't for Star Wars because that's when the Phantom Menace was rampant everywhere.
yeah, that was the beginning of the Phantom Menace that year, and 2018 was also. I mean, I won't talk about it, but that was the year a lot of bad stuff was happening in my life. But so
That was
anyway,
probably one of the worst years for Star Wars. Now that I think about it,
it really was.
because that's when Solo came out, which I like Solo, but
Yeah, I
you know
actually
it
did like it
bombed.
too. Like,
It bombed, so it was
I
not
would
it
have.
was not a good year for Star Wars at
Like
all.
I would have. I'd rather have Solo than not have it. You know.
Yeah, but the more didn't they copy from AC Crispin's trilogy a lot? Again,
They
I've
did
read it,
copy some things. I've
which is
heard.
once I read it, I have her trilogy. I haven't read it yet,
My dad actually has the
but
original prints of the books in the basement, which is pretty cool. Oh,
I think I have one of the books I have, maybe an original.
hmm.
A lot of the books I have are original copies because I don't like the Legends label ones.
I don't really mind the Legends label. Oh, so back to what I was saying. Like Anakin, he's just like his. Like the war has like really changed him. He's like super angry, and he's super edgy. He does feel like Revenge of the Sith Anakin.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, uh, yeah, I'm glad that they're make trying to make him look more like Revenge of the Sith, but we barely saw that sort of Anakin in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean we did see
So
him get angry a few times, but you know,
yeah, and Siege of Mandalore arc, he got a little angry with someone, but with Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan mentioned something about Maul, Anakin got angry.
yeah, and man, like for a good example is how he just literally murdered Admiral Trench. He just like butchered him.
Yeah, that was. I don't blame him though. That dude never died.
Yeah, because I remember like he supposedly died in another episode, like his flagship exploded or whatever, and then he survived that and he's back, but he's like a cyborg.
Yeah, when they released the trailer, I'm like, isn't this dude long freaking dead? Why is he still alive? That's one of the things I didn't like about the Clone Wars is they continue to use Admiral Trench.
It's like, I mean,
So
you
I thought he
they
was cool when we first saw him,
yeah,
but
he
they
was.
kept
He's
using
this
him.
spider dude.
I don't know. I just felt like you couldn't make any more characters to keep bringing him back. I don't
Yeah,
know. That's
bringing
just me
back
though.
characters.
I mean, the thing is, he blew up in a ship. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
multiple times. That's why I don't like. Be different if he lost a limb or something like
It's like,
that.
how did
But
he
he blew
survive?
up.
Like,
Yeah,
was
he
there an
blew up in a
explanation of how he
freaking.
survived?
There's not at all. I mean, we're just supposed to assume that he survived.
I mean, we'll talk about Maul in a later bit, but at least there's some things for him that would make sense for his survival. If you think
Yeah,
about
he
it.
has the dark side. I mean, I can get that. Plus, he didn't die in an explosion.
Yeah, like an
So
explosion that would obliterate you and turn you into dust. It's like you're not reviving, like Darkseid or not, you're not reviving yourself from like being exploded from dust.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the. I like Admiral Trench. I thought he was a pretty cool villain, but they kept using him, and I understand it.
But it was cool to see Anakin butcher him.
Yeah, that was really good for his story arc, his character. Also, did y'all see when in the Siege of Mandalore first episode, Grievous? Did y'all see a little snippet of him
Yeah, I think I
in
remember
the
that.
beginning?
I remember they
That was.
mentioned him.
I'm bringing that up since we're kind of talking about villains here, but I thought he looked really intimidating.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What did you think of like those primitives on that world? The
What do you
Politech,
mean, like the?
I believe they're called. Like after they escaped with Echo.
My memory is not serving me well.
Yeah, after they
What are they
escaped,
called?
there was like these natives that flew on like these pterodactyl things, and they
I know
helped.
what you're talking about. I just forgot.
All right, so then it ends with the Bad Batch. It ends with um, Echo becoming a ARC trooper after they defeat Trench and deal and protect the natives and all that. And overall, it was a really good arc, and it makes me look really forward to the Bad Batch TV series because these are great characters, and I want to see more of them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Plus, seeing them in the Dark Times era will be really interesting. So
Yeah, and they'll be working for the Empire, right?
I assume. I mean, well, we really don't know because we don't know if they executed Order 66. We don't know if they had those control
Yeah,
chips, right?
because they're different from the normal clone troopers.
Yeah, and
So,
a lot of people were asking that, like, do they have inhibitor chips like the rest of the clones do? So
and I guess we'll find out.
probably, but since they're different, you can never be too sure.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll answer that. Plus, and here's what I think is gonna happen. They're gonna find Rex. They're gonna find Gregor. They're gonna find Wolf, and they're probably gonna take them to that planet that they were in Rebels.
Yeah, where they're using the ATTE as like a
Yeah.
sand fishing ship.
Yep. It's probably gonna lead straight into that. I mean, let's be honest here.
It makes sense. And they'll probably do their own thing at one point.
Now they're gonna be. I think the Sigerian slaves are gonna be in that show, and I think that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I remember they were from TCW. In fact, that episode was like an adaptation of a TCW comic. Like George liked the
Yeah.
comic so much that he's like, "Hey, let's make an episode about it." Yeah, I remember getting that comic too.
George doesn't care about the EU.
Yeah, man, he doesn't. He doesn't read it. My Starlog quote, man, is the end all be all. It doesn't matter if he says the EU was canon in that book, the Splinter of the Mind's Eye. The Starlog quote is the end all be all. Anything else is fake news and fake information.
EU haters.
Yeah,
I
man.
love making fun of EU haters.
Same here. Like,
Or I just say poking fun at them. I don't hate EU haters. They're just misguided.
yeah, I used to really dislike them, but I'm like, and I used to spend hours like on the internet looking for them and giving and roasting them. And sometimes the conversations got ugly.
At that point, I just,
Then that's where
I
you give
move
up.
on.
So anyway, let's get to the Martez sisters, and so
All
yeah,
right.
so the Martez sisters was like there was a lot of good stuff in it, but I did think it was the weakest arc. Like
Yeah, I think
like it could have been 3 episodes. It didn't need to be
really,
4.
it could have been 2.
Because
if you
like
really
there's
think
that one
that's one.
episode where they were escaping and then they got in prison again. Like they didn't need to pad it out that long.
Yeah, and like during this time, instead of making filler episodes, you could have like adapted like the Kyber Crystal arc and Utapau or the wolf, like the ones I mentioned,
Exactly.
and like we only had like 12 episodes.
Yeah, I think they could have condensed it, but you needed this arc because last time we saw her, she was leaving the Jedi Temple, right?
Yeah, it was the end of season 5,
Yeah,
or yeah, the end of
So
season 5.
we had to see what happened to her and how she got reconnect or how she was back involved with the war, right?
Yeah, because in Rebels they mentioned that Rex mentioned that he fought alongside her in the Siege of Mandalore, and then that makes you wonder, like, wait, she left. Like, what happened? How'd she get back?
Yeah. So I think this episode plus, I think the Martez sisters, their characters are kind of interesting. They're what Ahsoka could be with Rafa, and then Trace is what she was, right?
It makes a lot of sense. There's so much cool stuff. Like, we get to see, like the more like poorer people in the galaxy, struggling and kind of like their view on the Jedi and all that.
Yeah,
And they talk about like themes of how like they're kind of disappointed with the Jedi because the galaxy kind of is because they're so busy with the war that they're like neglecting like the everyday people. It seems like.
yeah. I think you needed characters that were because let's face it. Last time we saw Ahsoka, she didn't like the Jedi. She was framed. She was almost put in jail. She was, expelled from the Order. There needed to be something that would have convinced her to go back and fight for them or fight with them or something.
Hmm.
And I think, with the Martez sisters, they showed her that, she could still be a Jedi, but like her own, what the Jedi should be, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like a Jedi of the people instead of getting involved in like so heavily in politics. Like goes out to really
Yeah.
just like help out the common people. It kind of reminds me of Zane Carrick a lot from the KOTOR comics, who's an excellent character.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Qui-Gon a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah,
And maybe even Luke in the EU a little bit. So, because I mean, Luke in the EU is what the Jedi should have been. His Jedi Order.
exactly.
So, and people like Ahsoka, Qui Gon, well, eventually Ahsoka, they embodied what Luke would eventually make. So,
And all that theme, it makes sense. Like it just all ties together, especially with her being the Padawan of Anakin and Luke being the son. You know what else I noticed?
what?
The area she was in was level 1313, which was supposed to be part of like a multimedia project that would have involved Star Wars
Yeah,
Underworld, the 1313 video game that was supposed to come out. Like that reference was pretty cool. But of course 1313 was going to be Legends. So,
yeah. Again, yeah. I don't know why they couldn't make it. I don't. I'll never understand why Lucasfilm didn't continue the EU. I will
it's like
never
they would have made
understand.
there was so much hype for it, and like
Exactly.
continuing Legends alongside the new canon would have given them so much money. They would have made all the fans happy. Everyone would have been happy, like the new canon fans, and the fandom wouldn't be as divided as it is today. Yeah. So anyway, she's driving her speeder bike, in this like industrial place around Coruscant. I believe it's the Works. Yeah, it's the Works. And her speeder bike malfunctions, and she almost crashes. And she meets Trace Martez, and they start slowly begin a friendship. and because and I remember Trace was pretty impressed with Ahsoka's mechanical skills.
Yeah, Ahsoka says she went to Skywalker Academy. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was really hilarious. All right, as you were saying.
Anyway, so we know the Martez sisters were originally one character. I don't
That's
remember his
true.
name, but he was an Asian character. And like I said, I don't remember his name.
Oh, it was supposed to be a male?
Yeah, it was originally an Asian. It was one character. It wasn't like two sisters. It was an Asian character.
I did know about the one character, but I didn't know it was a male.
Yeah, I don't remember his name for some reason. But that was changed, and they split it up into two people, which is fine. I think
Because it did create a lot of great character dynamics between the two sisters, like the older, more experienced one and the younger, more naive one. Like, that dynamic was pretty good.
Yeah, and people were like, why did she throw the spice out of her ship? Because she's young. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah, she's never dealt with stuff.
And if I'm...
Like,
Go
she's
ahead.
never dealt with criminals before. Especially
And
that
didn't
caliber.
Yeah, didn't Han do the same thing in the EU?
Yeah, he did.
Isn't that why he had to pay Jabba?
Exactly. That's precisely why he had to pay him.
Yeah, he was a young, dumb kid. I don't understand the problem. I thought that made a lot of sense what Trace did, because she was a young kid, and they were trying to take her ship, right?
That's true.
So
and she spent years, repairing and rebuilding it, so...
Yeah,
it was
a nice ship as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people are like, well, why did you do that? That was so dumb. It's like, that's the point. The point is that she did something stupid because she's young and naive and dumb. That's the point. So.
Mm-hmm. So there's not really that much of a problem there.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Now, remember that scene where Ahsoka was on the ship and they were leaving, and Anakin was on that cruiser, and they kind of mirrored Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, and they almost like felt their presences in a way.
Yeah, it was very similar to Return of the Jedi. I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, that was a good callback. And one problem I heard, and this is a really dumb thing about the Martez sisters. Oh, she's looks SJW just because of her hair.
I was laughing because I saw Jeremy's video when he did that, and I'm like, what does SJW look like? What does that mean?
I'm like, what? Just because you have like pink hair or some short cut? I'm like, my sister had short hair kind of like that for a few years, and she's not an SJW.
Plus, of course, the Martez sisters are black, so it's borderline racist, is what and that's why people think they're racist, because they say stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, it's no wonder.
It's ridiculous. And they're the same people. Remember, they're the same people that claim they don't care about race.
That's true.
They care a lot about it.
But yeah, the Martez sisters are not SJW.
He even said that they're not SJW characters, but they're SJW looking. Like, what does that mean? What does that entail? Because an SJW can look like anything.
Exactly, anyone could be one.
It's really, really annoying when I remember just laughing, but just being like, did he just say that?
Yeah.
Because every so often I go to that channel, check out what kind of stupidity they have to say today.
I have not been near the Geeks and Gamers channel in since 2019.
Oh, I don't blame you, but like I said, every time I go over there, just to get a good laugh.
Because I pretty much know what to expect. So anyway.
Yeah, nothing has changed.
So yeah, Ahsoka befriends the Martez sisters and kind of helps them out with stuff, repairs stuff. She helps them recover a lost like rogue droid. And wasn't it kind of like a lifting droid that would like lift cargo and stuff?
Yeah, and they had to go on a big chase for it. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, and she's, still using her, force abilities to help them, but still kind of hiding like, oh yeah, I just was managed to do it, and because she still wants to hide her past from them.
You know, that reminds me. There was a scene in the New Jedi Order where his name is Worth Skitter. You'll when you get there, you'll know who I'm talking about. He gets captured by the Vong, and he's trying to hide his force abilities. I thought that was it. Kind of reminded me of that
Yeah.
a little bit. I don't know. Everything reminds me of the New Jedi Order. I love that series.
I can't wait
I'm
to
on
get to
the I
that.
think what book? I think I'm on book 12. So anyway, it reminds me of that scene.
And also, she still doesn't want to talk about her past, and there's their dissatisfaction with the Jedi. So they learn that
Yeah,
they might dislike her. And so at one
and then they
point,
went to
oh,
go ahead.
and then so at one point they go on a spice job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then they showed Kessel, a different side of Kessel that we've never seen,
Yeah, which is kind of weird
or at least in cinema.
because Kessel, it's very different with Kessel in Legends because it was supposed to be like this dead, like asteroid world that was barely big enough to support an atmosphere. But
Yeah,
I do like this version of Kessel.
yeah. I remember I first watched the episode. I stayed up till midnight or whenever to watch these. By the way, I was so excited to see it. Anyway, so I remember I was sitting in my room. I was watching. I'm like, this is Kessel. Because I thought Kessel was just a bunch of spice mines, I didn't know it was like beautiful like
Yeah,
that.
it was like this beautiful paradise, which would kind of
Yeah,
make sense that criminals would kind of want to put their base of operations there. Like they're overseeing like the labor, and then at the same time they're like kind of like hanging out in their dojo or whatever, their crime headquarters, and everything's beautiful.
yeah. Then they showed, when they did go to spice mines. I'm like, oh, they're the spice mines, because I didn't know it was like different regions of the planet was different, different environments, which I thought was pretty cool when I found that out.
Yeah, because you
So
assume all of Kessel is just like the environment's just the same.
yeah, I mean, well, because in Star Wars, a lot of the planets are just all one environment. They're not various different, climates.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, like I never knew for a long time that if you go to the polar regions of Coruscant, there's actually snow stuff there, like snow resorts.
Yeah, and there's also oceans too, little oceans on
And there's
Coruscant.
like one like mountain region that was like preserved on Coruscant.
Yeah, that was in it was actually in the High Republic, Light
It
of the
was
Jedi. That
Oh, it
scene was
was
in
in
there.
there?
It was in there, yes.
That's
I don't know if
cool.
that's spoilers, but it's in there.
Because
I'm not gonna
the
say
that
anything
mountain was
else.
actually first mentioned in the Thrawn trilogy, because of course that's where Coruscant was first featured. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought I like it when Star Wars like makes different environments for different planets and breaks that stereotype that all planets in Star Wars are one environment.
hmm
So I thought that was
So
cool.
anyway, the people they get the job for is the Pike Syndicate, and they're like really like really top tier like gangsters and
Yeah,
criminals.
they're like the Huts.
Like you don't want to mess with them. Like if you mess with them, they'll like send people after you.
I thought it was kind of cool. We got to see their like their home world. I don't know if that's their home world, but Obadiah. Thought that was cool.
Yeah, because wasn't the Pike Syndicate first shown in season 6? Or no, they were also shown. Were they also involved in the stuff with Maul's
Yeah,
Syndicate?
they were a part of the Shadow Collective, I
So
believe.
yeah, they were before with the Maul returning stuff.
Yeah. Were they originally in the EU, or was that a Clone Wars only thing?
I think they might have been in TCW. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it right now because I don't know. Pike Syndicate. I know Black Sun was originally in the EU,
Yeah, they were mentioned as
and then
far
they got
back
it.
as the 90s.
No, it's just a Clone Wars thing.
Yeah, but
Pike,
they're
the Pike
still really
Syndicate.
they're still pretty cool. And so they attempt to scam the Pikes of all their stuff, but that doesn't go too well. And Ahsoka
Yeah,
does, Jedi mind trick, but eventually they get captured, and that's where they do the prison break stuff. Which, again, they could have done that in one episode and ended all that stuff.
yeah. That was probably the episode they wasted. Because they get out at the beginning of the episode, and then they go right back in at the end. So they didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, but the later part, it um they later reveal that Maul, yeah, like Maul is still working with them, and that's where they discover, and this is where it leads into the Siege of Mandalore,
Yep, the good old Cedar Mandalore.
which we'll get to very
That was
soon.
that was a great arc. I mean, I don't know if I really have anything else to say about this arc. It was good. It was just way too long.
Yeah, but my favorite part, like I said, was the like mostly the relationship between the characters and such.
Yeah, the character development, which is always good to see. So y'all want to move on to the Siege of Mandalore now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so Siege of Mandalore. Let's
Which
talk about that.
which I gotta say was the highlight of the season. And it
Oh
was
yeah, for
one of the
sure.
best episode arcs in TCW as a whole.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I don't think it's my favorite arc, but it is one of the better ones.
yeah, but do you think it's the best arc of the season?
Of the season for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
not the whole show.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
Yeah, I remember because like I told you earlier, I would wake up, or not wake up, but I would stay up during the night to watch it. And when the episodes dropped, and when that episode came on, I was like, "What is happening?"
And I love how they present it. The episodes are a lot longer than the normal ones. You can almost watch it like a mini movie in a way.
Yeah, well, that's what Davey Boy intended. He wanted all 4 episodes to feel like a film, right?
Yeah.
So, which makes sense because the show started off with being a film.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So, Ahsoka discovers, Maul's involved in this, and he's still loose on Mandalore. And so Ahsoka goes back to the Republic and the Jedi to inform them of this, and it leads to her, getting a commander position. And this is all happening while, basically the beginning of Revenge of the Sith is going on, and that the continuity between the two is pretty cool.
one thing I Imagine if you were like a newer fan, right, and you just watch the show, you don't read the books or comics, and you see this episode, and you're like, why is Maul back on Mandalore? Because remember, last time we saw him, he was getting shocked by the Emperor.
And
So
also, if you have
that's
read the comics, he got captured and was still doing stuff. But again, it's like, what happened to Maul with that? Like, what happened? It was Darth
yeah,
Maul, son of Dathomir, the comic I'm talking about.
yeah. But that's one of the things I didn't like about it, because like, well, what if you don't read the comics and you just supposed to assume he just went back to Mandalore? You don't know what happened, right?
And also, if
So
you've watched, Rebels, you wonder like what happened to him, or like Solo, his
that too.
cameo.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Well, here's the thing: Solo's a cameo, but like if there's something that's unexplained in the story, then the story should explain it, even if it's like because if you have to rely on using this was like this was like this was like a criticism against the prequels, but it's not really true because but
Exactly. Like
one
my
one of the criti-
reactions to Plinkett prove it. What you're trying to
yeah,
say.
but like even though they're invalid, Plinkett's point was why should I have to read books in order to explain something that should be explained in the movie?
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I don't mind if they explain stuff in the books or comics because I read them anyway. But I feel bad for casual fans because it's like, well, you don't read the books. How are you gonna know what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like Palpatine when he came back in, the sequels. I feel bad for casual fans because they don't really know what happened.
Yeah, they never really explained it. Like they did hint at like, yeah, he might have done this, but we never got a concrete answer. Like,
I mean, you had that one throwaway line that said, "Dark science
yeah,
clone."
yeah, that's what I was referring
But it's
to.
like that's not is it dark science? Is it cloning? What is it? I mean, is that the same?
And like, is it really like Palpatine, kind of like as he was in Dark Empire, or is it just like a mad clone, like Joru Sabayoth? Like, who is it? What is it? You know?
Yeah. Anyway,
Let's see. And man, there's so many good moments, like Anakin reuniting, and she had her old lightsabers back. I actually really like them blue. Like,
I do too, but there's a problem with that. What does the Ahsoka book say her lightsaber colors are? They say it's green. So there's a contradiction there.
yeah, that's true.
Good old Davy Boy contradicting things again.
And I haven't read the book, so did it. I don't know if it talked about anything about her lightsabers that other than that.
Well, I haven't read the book either, but I know a lot about what happens in it. It says her lightsabers are green. The Siege of Mandalore is a little different, like how the battle went. I think it's actually a lot different.
Oh wow, because
But
I remember for a long time, I always imagined the Siege of Mandalore in my head. For some reason, I always imagined it involved, like... At first, I imagined it involved, like, the Separatists, too. And Mandalorians, but it didn't.
honestly, when Rex said that in Rebels, I thought he was like referring to remember when like Obi-Wan went to Mandalore? I don't know why I thought of that, but I did, because I didn't know that was a whole different battle that took place.
Hmm.
So, because I was more of a casual fan when Rebels came out, so I don't really know much. But once I found out it was a whole different battle that took place, at the end of the war, I thought, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed in the new canon, Mandalore is always getting taken over by something?
It
And there's
seems like
always
it.
some civil war. It's been, what, like 3 or 4 now?
Maybe even
It's
more than
always
that.
it's always Bo-Katan trying to take back Mandalore. And it's like, Dave, you've done this already. Think of something else.
And then there was, like, the war that led to the peaceful Mandalorians take over, so...
Yeah, I've no, I mean, of course, in the Mandalorian, the TV show, Bo-Katan's trying to get Mandalore back. And then in Rebels, she's trying to get Mandalore back. In the Clone Wars, she's trying
You know, it's
it's
like it's
hilarious.
like an unsuccessful game of Crusader Kings 2 where you're trying to take back a kingdom title or something from someone else, but you keep failing. So
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I get Mandalore is a warrior planet, but it's like, why do you keep doing this over and over again, Dave? That's what I don't understand.
so yeah, Anakin splits up some of the 501st and gives it to her as like, a command, but she's still not officially a Jedi. And what did you think of the scene where, they're going through the atmosphere of Mandalore and they have all the jetpacks and like Ahsoka's like jumping on stuff that's falling and such? Like, oh,
I thought that was kind of cool.
that was super cool.
I like how she saved that one clone from in the gunship piloting and used his repulsor chair thing. I thought that was kind of cool because we've seen that in the books, but we really haven't seen that on screen. So I thought that was cool.
Let's see. And eventually they capture her and she confronts Maul. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people complain about, Ahsoka being overpowered for her age, but here's the thing, like, Maul is, ragdolling her with telekinesis, just like completely outclassing her. And he's still also the superior duelist here.
I think so many people complain that, oh, well, how come this person's clearly powerful than the other person? It's dark side users that are usually more powerful, and at the same time, they're overconfident. That's what Luke says in Return of the Jedi. Your overconfidence is your weakness.
And that's
And
what allows, Maul to be captured by, the Republic and Ahsoka.
yeah, that the good guys always take advantage of that. That's how Luke, who had like just a few years of training, is able to defeat Darth Vader, right? I mean, so many people just think, oh well, since they're powerful, they should be able to beat them. Not necessarily. That's not how it works.
And the duel between them was pretty good.
Yeah, they used like motion capture technology.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they you didn't see that?
Oh, actually,
They brought
I didn't look at the behind the scenes stuff. So
they brought back Ray Park, and he did the motion capture for that duel.
that is so cool. Like, especially getting Ray Park involved. So in a way, he's still kind of playing the character. If you think about it.
Yeah, they'll always bring him back. If they're ever doing like a live action sort of, he's always gonna come back and do that.
But yeah, that was just.
Which is cool.
Some people do think like TCW Maul can be a little bit too edgy, but like his character has always been edgy. If you think about it, from his design, you could
Yeah,
tell.
I've never read the Darth Maul books in the EU, like Shadowhunter or like Maul Lockdown or whatever. But that really made Maul for like cinematic fans. It really made Maul into a good character. Because if you think about it, he was just some horned dude in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he's
Who just
basically on the
died.
same level as like Boba Fett. Like when we see
Yeah,
him.
I mean, you had to use supplemental material to make the character good.
Make them
Or
interesting.
at least before Maul was brought in the Clone Wars, at least.
I say the super edgy thing Maul did that was kind of sort of over the top edgy and kind of cringe was like when he was captured, he was like doing that screaming. That was a little too edgy.
Let me go, let me die.
And I was kind of laughing. But I think it was kind of meant to be played for laughs. Like Maul's captured, he's now in a pathetic position.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's about to lose his planet. He's about to lose. He
He's a
lost
crazy
against
dark sider
Ahsoka.
too, so
Now, the last 2 episodes in the arc were it wasn't even on the Siege of Mandalore. That's kind of the Order 66 arc, I guess you could call it.
yeah.
But I loved how the 3rd episode was very calm. It was very quiet. It was very.
The calm before the
It was the calm
storm.
before the storm. There you go.
Exactly.
Calm before the storm is what it was. And I really liked that. It was really, because you knew what was going to happen. It
And
was
I love
really
the. I remember there was a part where there's like slowdown and silence. It was just.
yeah, it was just silence, visual storytelling, no dialogue, very little music. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And in order to survive, like help escape, Ahsoka had to free Maul and was like, and at first he was just like, "Hey, give me one of your lightsabers, give me a fighting chance," but she's just like, you're on your own." And okay, during this scene, like, I loved when like Maul just like telekinetically ripped apart like the hyperdrive. Like that just shows how powerful he is, and it makes me. If he's that powerful, like his survival in the Phantom Menace makes a lot more sense. Like if he's that
Yeah.
powerful, then he can survive being cut in half. Because for a long time, I kind of had, I kind of questioned his survival, but after seeing that scene, like I'm like, yeah, Maul can come back. He's powerful enough to do something like that.
Good old Maul.
And it also answered the question, like, how did Rex like remove the chip?
Yeah.
Because I remember in Rebels seeing he had the scar from it being removed, but I was like wondering, like, did he like discover there was the chip inside and discover the plot, but didn't tell anyone because he thought no one would believe it, and then he removed it. Like, how did it happen? And it was really tense. The doors closed. They're working. They got to work really fast to get it out because she's trapped in corner. They got to move fast. What else? And also, it also kind of demonstrated Ahsoka's power because, she was able to hold that shuttle back with telekinesis. It just shows you a feat like that is really not out of place in like canon or legends, you know? Because especially with people, complaining about Starkiller being too overpowered, but it's just like, we have characters like doing feats like this, like what Maul and Ahsoka did, so it just also shows how
Well,
powerful they are.
I am one of those people that do say that he's a little too powerful, Starkiller.
Yeah, there's
I,
some to some
I believe
degree,
that.
yeah.
I get it. It was a video game. People want to use the Force. I get it, but like I said, I don't know how the novel is. So
Yeah, you should really read
because
the
I haven't
novel.
read it.
Like it makes everything so clear. Like, and he's more grounded.
Yeah, eventually I'll probably not even play because I have started the game, but I haven't finished it. So I'm probably just gonna read the book to get the story. But
It's
I
it's
don't know. The
very
book
much
might
worth
be better
reading.
because eventually I'm gonna read all the books anyway. So I'm probably not gonna play the game. I just wish there was a KOTOR, novel adaptation or whatever.
Same here. Like in high school, I actually started writing a fan novelization of the second game. I haven't finished it.
Because I'm a lot like Matt. I prefer to read, the book and not play the game.
Because with a book, you get like something much more clear, like clear cut how it happened.
Yeah. Plus, I just books are just I
They
don't
can
know. I
be
feel like
relaxing.
it's relaxing. I'm not always on my toes trying to kill people or whatever in the game. It's just easier for me to read a book than play the game.
Yeah. And what did you also think about all of like you heard like the voices of clips from like the movies as it was going on?
That was cool, but I don't know how I feel about it because
I mean, it kind of tells you it's happening, but you know, we all know that all that's happening while this is going on.
I mean, how come Ahsoka at that point did not realize Anakin turned to the dark side or something like that? I mean, well, maybe she did. She just didn't realize that it was Darth Vader because I don't know. I don't know if it's a contradiction because in Rebels she found out that Anakin was Vader, right?
Yeah,
So
when they fight each other, she sensed his presence. It was like, oh my gosh, and she was kind of guessing it
yeah,
was him.
I don't know. It's weird. So what is cool though is that they used Matt Lanter's voice in that, and then they used Hayden's voice as well
Yeah.
to do Anakin. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Alright, let's see.
And then there was earlier in this arc, the first episode, it mentions Fulcrum, right? And a lot of people thought this was a contradiction,
Oh yeah, yeah. I almost forgot about
but
that.
yeah, I don't. I watched the video on it, and they pointed out something very interesting. Vader didn't realize that it was Ahsoka using Fulcrum because he thought Ahsoka was dead.
He did.
So he probably thought it was just somebody else using it, not Ahsoka.
Because in Rebels there was multiple people using the name.
Yeah, and even when Yularen told Anakin that Fulcrum was speaking, Kenobi thought it was Saw Gerrera, not Ahsoka or whoever. So I don't think that's a contradiction. It's almost a contradiction, but it's really not.
And didn't Agent Callus also have that title too?
Yeah, he used it, and then there was a lot of, I don't know who else used it, but I know Callus used it.
And even though the clones are after Ahsoka and Rex, Rex still has like a lot of honor. He's just like, I'm not gonna like murder like my brothers. 'Cause didn't he? Yeah, didn't he just use stun?
Did he get stunned?
No, he was using stun on all the clones.
Oh yeah, he
Because he didn't want
was.
to kill his fellow brothers.
Yeah, I think Rex is I think he's a really interesting character. I think he's probably one of the best clones. Probably no, he's my personal favorite.
Oh,
But
he's a fan favorite. He's really good.
yeah, I really like Rex.
Yeah, and
I really like Ahsoka and Rex's dynamic as well.
yeah, they're really good together.
And some
And
people were like, well, I saw people complaining online saying, why wasn't Anakin, why didn't we see him murder Jedi in the temple? And I'm like, because it's not about Anakin. The show is about Ahsoka and Rex. So I focused on them in the last episodes. I mean, people are just... I swear, that's why I like the Star Wars fandom. They complain about the dumbest things.
yeah, you can never please them. It's just
Yeah, like you know me, I have my problems with Disney Star Wars, but it's like some of the complaints against it are just not warranted at all. They're just really stupid.
And so after they crash, and they give all the clones, they give them a proper funeral, which that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then Ahsoka decides to.
Was
Oh, what is it, Aiden?
Kicks and is Kicks because and like Jesse, I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right, but weren't they in the funeral?
Jesse was, but not Kix. Kix.
'Cause
Remember,
if I
and
huh?
go ahead.
Because like I remember like either like one of them were in Rebels. So.
Hmm.
There
Yeah.
was Gregor and Wolf was in Rebels.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay. And then before they leave, Ahsoka decides to leave her lightsabers behind. It doesn't. It appears like she lost one of them in the chaos. Like her main one. Like her Shoto wasn't there. It was just her main saber.
Mm-hmm. And then Lord Vader showed up years later. That was cool.
Yeah, that really was.
Though I didn't want Vader to show up originally.
They
Because,
didn't need to
everyone's like,
do. Yeah, they didn't need to do this scene, but it was a nice ending.
everybody was like, is Vader going to be in it? I'm like, how can Vader be in it? Well, I guess this is how.
Hmm.
But
And I'm very curious as to like how he found the planet. Like he must have been investigating like some of the stuff around the siege of Mandalore and the trajectory of the ship, and eventually led him there.
yeah, I'm sure the Empire was probably looking,
And he was probably
searching.
investigating to see if Sokka was like dead for sure.
Well, I wouldn't even say Ahsoka. Maybe just like Republic, cruiser crash sites in general. The Empire was looking for him.
And then he knew
And
that Ahsoka was there, so he had to go investigate to see if he could find any remnant or trace of her.
yeah.
Yeah,
I do think he looked really cool in his animation and Clone Wars animation.
Yeah. And yeah, I wonder if he probably kept like Ahsoka's lightsaber in some private place and put it on like display or something.
I like to imagine he destroyed them.
Yeah, that actually make a lot more sense since he wants to destroy any trace of Anakin and any
Yeah, I
tie
mean,
he
he tried
had.
to kill Ahsoka in Rebels, so.
So yeah, he probably found it, destroyed it, and was just like, yes, I must hunt down any remnant of Anakin. It would make sense for him to do that. I'm just so glad that we got the proper conclusion to Clone Wars that we should have gotten.
Well, I'd say it was half proper because there's still some missing stuff in it, like the bounty hunter arc.
Mm.
Why wasn't that in there?
Yeah,
Because let's face it, the show was about clones, which we got that with Bad Batch. It was about we got the ending to the show with Siege of Mandalore. We got
because it ended the stuff with Rex and Ahsoka because they're really the main characters if you think about it.
and then the end of stuff with Domino Squad, but bounty hunters were also huge in Clone Wars too.
Yeah,
right?
with Cad Bane and all them, there's a ton of arcs with them.
So it's like, why didn't they end their stories, right?
Like if we didn't even get a comic, like it could have been so easy, and it would have been cool if they'd done a comic to end it or so.
Plus, the Cad Bane death is not considered canon.
So what happened to Cad Bane?
We really don't. I was looking on Wikipedia and I was looking on canon, like the canon page, and his death is not on here.
So that's another loose loose
He
end.
becomes a saxophone player in A New Hope.
Now, I don't know if. Do you know if they killed him off in Legends?
That I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, or I mean I know
No,
he's
they
still
haven't.
alive.
Good old Legends. My last night I was reading and I'm like, all these books are interconnected, and it really just, I don't know. I reflected on, I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah, the interconnectedness and all the references, it's really good.
Yeah, it all flows well together.
Like the new canon has done a decent job of connecting things together.
See,
'Cause
what I don't like about the new canon is how the books do not feel that important to the overall story.
yeah, they make the stories seem very minor, so they can't take risks. That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the EU, you had many wars that were covered in books, and like many huge, like the Vong War. I mean, it's the bloodiest war in the galaxy, and that was only in books.
And
So
the High Republic gives them a little bit more freedom, but there's still stuff they can and can't do. Like there can't be like a huge major galactic war engulfing the entire galaxy. They'd still have to do like minor skirmishes and such.
yeah, which is it's kind of a weird era to do that in, right? So
Yeah, if you think about it. Oh, excuse me. What did you think of that one thing that they imprisoned Maul in? It was kind of like a. It was kind of like part of a reference to like the new canon version of the Mandalorian Wars. Because that's what.
reference from what?
Oh, because the Mandalorian Wars, a version of it did happen in the new canon. Not
Do
exactly
they
how it
have?
was in Legends, but they did mention it happening.
Yeah, they have. There have been a mention of a Mandalorian conflict with the Jedi.
And they in the Mandalorian they did mention Mandalore the Ultimate. Like they made him canon.
Yeah, they made. Yeah, they made that. They're gonna end up copying the entire Old Republic story. I mean,
Honestly, at this point, they're probably just gonna do basically a slightly different retelling of it.
Exar Kun is considered canon.
Revan
You look well, Droma.
is.
Yeah, you look well, Droma is considered canon. Wouldn't be surprised when Nomi is considered
Yeah.
canon.
Also, they did Darth Decimus too.
Yeah,
Let's see. So, any other thoughts on Siege of Mandalore and TCW as a whole?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad.
thought it was really, really good.
I'm glad we got it because the franchise really needed something like this.
I kind of
Yeah,
like how it was more smaller scale compared to Reg and stuff.
Hmm.
Like, well, all these big things happening were kind of in a little area.
Like a minor skirmish conflict that happens while
Yeah,
it's going on. Because yeah, with how divided the fandom is, it needed some good stuff like this. And I'm glad they decided to finish it because that I was actually really angry when they canceled Clone Wars back in the day because it's like even before like the new canon was really got started, it's like, oh yeah, they get rid of LucasArts, they decanonize Legends, and cancel Clone Wars, cancel all the Legend stuff too. Because I was really angry.
good old Lucasfilm.
Yeah, now all they need to do is give us like a few Legends comics and a few books.
At the moment, all I want them to do is finish Sword of the Jedi. That's all I
Yep.
care about.
And with them releasing something like Clone Wars Season 7, who knows what they'll do in the future. I mean, they're re-releasing some Legend stuff on Disney Plus, so, future could be bright,
Yeah,
you know?
we all need to watch that Disney Plus stuff that they're gonna put on there, even if we've seen it already. Because if we give those shows a lot of views, then they might consider making more
Yeah,
stories.
they're like, hey, this is popular, it sells. But instead of just continuing to be like, hey, look, we made this canon for that, just like, hey, we'll give you new stories.
Yeah, I cannot. Because the first thing I'm gonna watch is that Ewoks cartoon. I'm gonna watch that.
Ooh, I heard they're also putting the Ewok movies on there. I actually
They
watched those
are.
on. I watched those on VHS when I was younger because my dad recorded them in the 80s. And I'm actually thinking about getting them on Laserdisc,
That's cool.
which I gotta get a Laserdisc player so I can watch the theatrical versions of the original trilogy I got. I can also get the Phantom Menace on Laserdisc, but other than that, there isn't really anything else Star Wars you can get.
I honestly have never seen. I've never sat down and watched the theatrical release of the originals.
Same
I
here.
I have like. I grew up with the special editions.
Yeah, the
So
special editions are as old as I am, which makes me feel old.
though I do wish they would release like the theatrical cut as
Yeah,
well.
that's part of the reason why this set I got cost like $100. Because again, it's a collector's limited edition thing, and it's also in the original theatrical versions. So, but it was worth it.
I spent like $20 on a Junior Jedi Knight book. Just one.
Oh
Spent
wow!
$20 on it. It was, I think it was the last book in the series. It was actually $80 on Amazon, but
Wow!
I found um I found it for a lot cheaper for only 20. So I'm like, screw it, I'm buying it. It's worth it. Because I really wanted to buy the entire. I have all the Young Jedi Knights now, each every one in print, and I have all the Junior Jedi Knights.
I have 3 books. It was when they were still printing them. It was towards the end when they. It was very close to when they stopped printing them, like in the late 2000s, maybe like 2007 or so. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a 3-in-1. It came with lightsabers, Darkest Nights, and the one where the Shadow Academy attacks.
Jedi Siege, Jedi
Yeah,
Under Siege, I think it's called.
yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah, I love that series, man.
It's really good.
I
That
read
that
it.
was one of the first things to get me in the expanded universe.
It's actually weird. Tenno Ka is my favorite in that series. Not even Jason or Jaina.
Yeah, I loved her. Like from the moment all that stuff in the 4th book happened, I knew for certain when I was younger that I was like, I ship them. I was like, I want them to get together, like romantically.
And they did.
And I got my wish. So
But
anyway,
not Jaina and Zek.
yo,
Jaina
yeah,
got
I would have
quiet.
loved Jaina and Zach.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded them, but I think I like Jagged a little bit more as a character. So, because I just got past the, I don't want to spoil nothing, but I just got past the book where they got, together, Jane and Jagged. Not gonna tell you what book it is.
It's kind of similar feelings with Luke and Callista. Like I would have been fine with it if they'd gone that way because I did like them together. But Mara
I didn't
Jade,
mind them. See, Luke and Callista was like, because we're all gonna have, different girlfriends throughout our lives, right, or whatever.
yeah.
And that's just one that he had in his life. So I didn't mind it. I really didn't mind it.
But Mara, of course, was the one that was meant for him.
Yeah, nothing. No one can beat Mara Jade.
hmm Oh, it's so good to see her because I'm rereading Heir to the Empire like I was saying earlier, and they finally introduced her character, and oh man, she's just so great.
There is an animation on YouTube where they're animating the entirety of Heir to the Empire.
That's so
I don't.
cool.
Have you seen it?
I actually haven't because I just haven't had the time to do it, but I'm gonna have to check that out now. Once
He's on. I think he just finished chapter 13, animating that.
That's pretty cool.
Or chapter 12, one of the two. So he's getting through it. He's almost halfway through the book. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess we don't really have any more things to say about TCW since we're getting off topic, but yeah, it was pretty good. Go check it out, like, especially if you're a fan of the series.
Even if you're not a fan of the series and you didn't really like the Clone Wars, which I don't blame you, watch it anyway. You know.
I mean, because it's good Star Wars content. Like I said, the franchise needed this after everything. So anyway,
Yeah, it's really fun. Now, can we consider it part of the EU? I don't think we can.
yeah, I definitely not season
It's
7.
it's new canon, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy it.
Yep. So yeah, I guess we'll see you around whenever the next time we do a full-length podcast. So anyway, people, if you're looking for real positive fandom, you've come to the right place here if you want to watch my channel. So anyway, hope you enjoyed.